everyone. Welcome to the Fill Your Cup podcast. Today it's just going to be me, and I really want to have just a one-on-one conversation with you guys, kind of talk about my story, why I started the podcast, kind of my goals for the future, what I want to take with it, and really kind of explain what's going on here. So to kind of start it out, my name is Kaitlyn Reber. I am almost 17 years old, and I am the founder of the Fill Your Cup organization. It is a nonprofit organization that kind of formed in two different ways. One of them because I am involved in the Miss Oklahoma teen organization, and I needed a social impact initiative, but mostly because Fill Your Cup is my entire heart, and it truly is my story, and I feel like the Lord has called on me to share what I have to say in hopes to inspire all of you. I grew up with just me and my mom until I was about 5 years old. Then her and my stepdad got married. I've lived in Oklahoma City my whole life. It is truly my home. And something that I'm going to do to kind of start off all the podcasts I did with Jordan in our very first episode, and I will be continuing through for the rest of these, is kind of talk about what brings joy and fulfillment in life. And I think that's so important because everybody has a different story. Everyone has a different reason for why they get up out of bed every day. And I thought I might as well share that myself. For me, it's the community that I've surrounded myself with. I think that you're always going to feed off of who you're around. And at times that has been toxic situations, whether that was where my sport was or whether that was where I went to school. I truly believe that as a person, you have wants and needs, and you want to be wanted by the people around you. So are you going to change yourself to be like the people that you're surrounding yourself with? Or are you going to surround yourself with people who accept you and love you for who you are? And I've definitely been on every side of that spectrum. And I am finally surrounded by people, by an entire tribe of a family, whether they be related by blood, whether I met them later on in life. I have such a special group of people by my side. And then whenever it comes to little things, I truly find fulfillment in my art and creating movement through dance, from writing, whether that be poetry or even in the process of whenever I went through kind of a series or a time of anxiety and depression, I started writing a book, and that's something that I'll be carrying with me for a long time. In other ways, I find joy in the environment around me. As silly as it may sound, I find joy in having a clean room or going to watch a sunset. Specifically sunsets, especially if you go and look at the Fill Your Cup OK page, the kind of theme of the whole page is sunsets and sunrises. And I've always loved it so much because I felt like it was God telling me that there is going to be beauty in every day. Sometimes it's a beautiful sunrise with massive pops of color, and it's like you can't even understand how you're looking at this right now. And sometimes it's kind of a cloudy day, but you know that somewhere it's beautiful. And I think that's really a testament to how our lives are as humans in this world. So yeah, I've definitely been on a journey of finding the joy and fulfillment in little things in my life, whether that's, I think even some moments I'll be with my friends and I'll have to stop everyone. I'm like, guys, this is a moment that we're going to remember for the rest of our life. And this is a moment that we need to take in. And I love finding joy in that. I want to kind of talk about why I started this podcast and maybe some information behind it, because I know especially if you're new here, welcome to the podcast, but a lot of people I know that will be tuning in earlier on, it's just people that know me or know of me. And like I said, I guess with talking about the podcast, I'll kind of talk about why I created Fill Your Cup. And I'll kind of... Okay. I'll kind of go back a little bit. About almost 2 years ago, I started to deal with anxiety. And I know that's kind of a buzzword in our society right now: anxiety, mental health, depression, whatever that may be. And I think I had traces of anxiety my whole life. I was always super attached to the people I was close to. And I've always been a very sensitive person. I think I looked at that for a really long time as something that was a negative, but it truly is because I empathize with so many of the people around me, and I just love on everyone around me. But I really was able to start to see my anxiety about 2 summers ago. I was getting very overwhelmed with such a full plate. I had just started. I wasn't brand new at a school, but I was still pretty new to a school, and I was trying to figure out where I fit in. And, I wanted to be a leader in that school. I wanted to be able to be someone that people could look up to, but I was trying to figure out the right way to do that. And so I went, as we went into that school year, it was sophomore year, and I'm going into my senior year now. As I went through that time, I look back and I remember having that very much Disney school experience, you might say. I was going to football games all the time. I was in student council. I was having fun with a lot of the people around me, and I was really having a great time. But then as we approached winter, I started to really see my mental health take a dip, and I was struggling with friendships. Some of them were just people I didn't have around anymore and I missed. Some of them were people that had come into my life that weren't super healthy for me. And once the winter kind of hit, I started to experience some bullying, specifically cyberbullying, and it was something that I didn't really bring to light to the people around me. I didn't want to cause a scene at my school. I didn't want anything negative to really happen, so it's something that I kept really close to my chest, and I struggled with that for a long time. And as time went on, I experienced more and more panic attacks. And ultimately, I guess on this podcast, I'm going to end up being real with you guys no matter what. But ultimately, I had reached a time in my life where I had suicidal thoughts. And I remember being in the middle of a panic attack and telling my mom that maybe I just wanted to be done and maybe I should just go to heaven because this world does not want me. There's a place for all these other people in my life, but it's becoming obvious that this world doesn't want me, because I felt very unloved and I felt very alone. And that's a feeling that's really hard to explain. And I think the people that truly understand are the people that have also gone through it. But I went through that season and I realized that that wasn't who I am, or that wasn't who I was. I knew that God created me for a purpose, and I have such a strong belief that everybody in my life or everybody in this world is here for a reason. And that's whenever we decided to turn things around. I ended up going to the doctor and getting blood tests and figuring out, maybe are their hormone levels messed up, or is there anything that we need to check off to kind of figure out the next step. I ended up starting on anxiety meds, which were such a help in the long run. For anyone who starts on medicine, I can say that I feel you in that beginning sprint. It's definitely a hard time, but all that to say, that was kind of the base for everything that Fill Your Cup is. I just felt lonely, but I spent a lot of time driving to a local, small airport and watching the sunset in the parking lot. And I just felt so much peace with that. And as time went on, I was I was healing so much. And we had come to summer again. and I was finding joy again, and I was refining myself in friendships and refinding me again. And I realized that so much of our world today struggles with what I struggled with. And I want to help be the change. So I created Fill Your Cup. For anyone who doesn't know, CUP stands for connection, getting up and active, and ultimately finding your purpose. These are 3 things that you can do that will help stimulate your life and help bring you fulfillment again. Fill Your Cup is almost a year old, not quite yet, and I am so glad to say that it has reached hundreds across the state and thousands across the country, from me visiting schools across the state of Oklahoma to me really using the power of social media to get the word out. And that is something that is just such a blessing, and I'm so thankful for it. But a big part of my Fill Your Cup content is putting video content out. That way I can give step by step on how to maybe deal with something anxiety related, maybe something with a panic attack, how to find connections in your life, how to get up and get active, and all those things. And I had a lot of people reach out to me and just ask for even more content. I took my time with it because I really wanted to make sure that I was doing the right thing. I was having a lot of people reach out to the Fill Your Cup page and say that it brought them hope, that it brought them love again, and that my story was the light at the end of their tunnel, because they are going through what feels like exactly what I went through because I shared my story. And me being able to get in front of people and talk about that gives them hope that they'll be able to do the same one day. So with time and with doors opened through connections that I've made, I was able to start the Fill Your Cup podcast, which is what we're doing today. A lot of my goals moving forward with this is to be able to reach the masses. A goal of mine is to reach every student in the state of Oklahoma. And as much as I'm going to schools as often as I can, sometimes that's not a possibility, but it can be with this podcast. Not only will it be on all platforms, but it will also be video content on YouTube, so that way people feel like they are getting a personal view at what it is I talk about on Instagram, what it is I talk about in schools, and now what I talk about on a podcast. So I'm super excited for where this will go. Goals of mine will be to have a very conversational podcast, to get people on here from across the country that have different stories, different backgrounds. So there's always someone new for you to relate to in a different type of a way. There's always new ideas pouring in. And I have a lot of hope for where this will go. And I just want to thank you for being here and watching it and being a big support. I already kind of gave you a little bit of my story, but again, the mission of Fill Your Cup is to truly change the stigma around what purpose and fulfillment is in life. It's not something, I was talking with Jordan on our last podcast, or on the one I just recorded, and I talk about how purpose is not a tangible thing. You will never be able to go somewhere in life and find purpose as a thing that you can grab. Nothing in my hand consists of purpose. It'll never be a career. It'll never be a relationship. It'll never be a friend. It'll never be something that I accomplish in life. Purpose is something that I find in myself, and purpose is something that you can find in yourself too. And I think that gives so much hope, because that means that you don't need to chase. You don't need to be chasing after something in life. Chasing after goals, yes, I think it's always important to set goals for yourself and always be working to something bigger and always challenging yourself. But that comes with being content with who you are and what your story is. And no matter what you've gone through, maybe you're like, hey, I've been brought up really great and I have a wonderful family and I don't really feel like I have a place in this world because I don't have a quote unquote story. I want to stop you right there, because that is a part of your story. That will help inspire people. Or maybe you're someone and you're like, my life is something that I'm ashamed to talk about to anyone, maybe even my best friend. And I want you to know that you will have the opportunity to change people for the better because someone will relate to you just as much. That is the whole mission behind Fill Your Cup, is to find something in someone, because we all have it and it's all different. Every single story is going to read different. And just because someone doesn't read a chapter of their life out loud doesn't mean that it's not there. So I've had to learn how to take my time with people and really learn who they are and not write someone off for maybe what their first impression of them might be, or what their backstory might be, or what they've done in the past might be, and only truly look at who they are right here and right now and who they want to be in the future. Something else that I really want to touch on is my involvement with the Miss Oklahoma Teen Organization. It is something that is super special to my heart. The Miss America organization is something truly special and truly unique in our world today. The Miss America organization is the largest scholarship opportunity for women in America. One of my best friends was Miss Oklahoma's Outstanding Teen just this past year, and she was able to get almost $1 million in scholarships just for school. And that is something that I feel like, if anything, is such a push for you to get involved and learn, at least meet people that might be involved in this organization, because there's always some sort of success that comes from it. Whether the majority of people will never walk away with a crown, and I feel like a lot of people stereotype pageants as such, as they're just going for a crown, or it's just a pretty girl walking in a pretty dress and, answering some general question to please the masses. And fortunately, that's really not how it is. And if anything, I can say that this organization has helped mold me into the person I am in front of you today. I would have never imagined myself as someone who would sit down and talk behind a microphone and in front of a camera and share some of the most vulnerable parts of my life, but I feel like it truly has opened the doors for that. And if you are ever interested in competing or learning more about the organization, please reach out to me. I would love to kind of guide you along that path. And I have some pretty crazy cool mentors that I could get you hooked up with. Another thing that I want to talk about that is a huge part of who I am is the Generation Y organization. They are a national nonprofit dedicated to changing the stigma surrounding mental health, especially for students. They have been able to touch thousands of kids across the country, and they are doing big things. They are just getting started, and I am just lucky and honored to say that I get to be an intern with them, and I get to go to schools and share my story and perform with them and really be able to touch the hearts of students. The team consists of people with completely different backgrounds, and they all have a story to tell, whether they are a part of admin, whether they are dancers, whether they are one of the public speakers. Everyone has a story, and that's so easy to see because it's so inspiring to all of the students. There's something so special about being able to go to assembly and have students come up to me or the rest of the team after and talk about how they don't feel alone anymore, or talk about how can I do what you're doing right now, and we're able to kind of give that hope. So 2 things that I'm involved in that I'm super passionate about. And the last thing I kind of want to touch on, I know that this episode will be a bit shorter just because it's me right here, but something that I want to talk about is my goals for the future. I know I kind of touched on this earlier, but I really want this to be a source of hope and inspiration, if anything, in our world. I have dreams that this will continue for many years, and I and praying that it brings so much light to the people around me and maybe even people that I will never even meet. But I have such a call on my heart to be that word that speaks up, to be that person who speaks up about what they've gone through, whether that be bullying or whether that be feeling lonely in life, and where as someone who found purpose and fulfillment in life but is still figuring it out. Like I'm sitting here in front of you all put together right now, but just yesterday I sat around all day in my pajamas, looked like a wreck, and I'm still dealing with the struggles of mental health. I'm still dealing with intense anxiety attacks and just the fear of what will happen in my future. But that's not to be, I don't say that to discourage you if you're dealing with that. I say that to encourage you and to help you see that even if you're going through that, one, there is a group of people behind you and they support you. And if you can't find them in your own life, reach out to me and I'll be there for you. And I have a group of people that will be there for you as well. And that if you're struggling with this, you too can change your community. You can change who you surround yourself with. You can help empower the people around you, and you never know where the Lord will take you. So I just wanted to kind of touch base with everyone. I am super excited for where this will go and what Fill Your Cup will bring. But yeah, that's all for now.